Ooh, dog getting slapped. She's a slappy dog. Oh yes. Oh, rubbing the head, rub the ears, flap them around. Woohoo! Ah. All right, there we are. Microphone's working. That's on. Camera's on. That's working. Dog cam. Shirt's on. We're go. Woohoo! Okay. Hey everybody. How's it going? Welcome. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I got distracted by yelling at somebody online. Man, there's a lot going on. So, Pope died. He met with JD Vance, and he was so kind of disgusted by JD Vance that he had an underling explain to him Christianity and compassion, because he felt like JD doesn't possess those things as a self-proclaimed Christian. And it got so bad, and JD was so dense that the Pope finally was like, "Fuck it, I'll go down there and I'll explain it to him." And then he died. Well, he didn't die right then. He died sometime in the overnight, and by this morning it was announced the Pope was dead. Last known picture of the Pope is with JD Vance going, shaking his hand. Also, Pete Hegseth got busted with a second signal chat naming mission specifics about F-18 flights and drone flights in conversations with his wife, his brother, and his attorney, all of whom should not know any of these things. Which it begs the question. We've had so many MQ-9 drones shot down over Yemen that it's almost as if they know the flight plans of these drones. These suckers are at 40,000+ feet. Without adequate radar systems, no one in the Houthis should know where those drones are. But they're using shoulder-fired missiles, and they're knocking those suckers down because they know the flight plans. Why? Because his signal chats aren't that secure. Also, he kind of damned himself because he had a whole bunch of dudes in Department of Defense get fired over a possibility of leaking things. He was really paranoid that stuff was being leaked, so he demanded an FBI investigation, and it appears the FBI investigation uncovered who the leaker was, Hegseth. So the White House is denying reports that they're looking for a new Secretary of Defense, but they also denied reports that they're going to do a 90-day pause on tariffs, etc. And they're probably firing Pete Hegseth and looking for somebody to replace him because the dude's a drunk asshole. And if Trump likes people who kiss his butt, likes brown nosers, likes yes men, but the minute you make him look bad, you're gone, right? So Trump will not take responsibility for firing this drunk dumbass, but he will definitely fire him and try to bring in somebody who'll be better. But the problem is that anyone who's competent won't work for the man. So you're only going to get the next worst thing. It's just going to degrade from there because A's hire A's, B's hire C's. And Trump isn't even a B, so C's hire F's. That's where we are. Nothing happened on 420 with Roaring Kitty or with Ryan Cohen. De nada. I was a ding dong, and instead of buying spy puts right open, which I would have made like $2,000 off of, I bought GME calls. I'm up a little bit. I'm up like $90. Woo! But the spy is crashing hard today. Japanese carry trades are on the cusp of being recalled, basically, as U.S. treasuries get sold off like crazy and their values drop. Like, the yields are really high. We're at 4.989%. That's almost 5%. Yields are really high, but the value of those bonds are really, really low because there are no buyers. And it appears that like Nomura and Norchunkin are likely selling off a huge chunk of their $1 trillion in U.S. bonds, and they're not finding any buyers. So the price is plummeting and the yields keep going up, trying to entice people to buy these bonds. At the same time, the French government, Macron, basically told the United States that if they fire Jay Powell, the U.S. dollar will become worthless. That essentially no one's going to do any business with you whatsoever. And we're already faltering in that front. Tourists have stopped coming. It's especially Canadian tourists, but European tourists are down like 35%. Tourist towns that normally count on a large portion of international tourism are dead. Miami, dead. You know, you can get reservations at any restaurant you want. The beach is empty. The hotels are empty. People just aren't coming. A story broke over the weekend about 2 teenager German tourists who were traveling around the world and had come from New Zealand to Hawaii to go hike around Hawaii, which is people do. Like, I hiked around Hawaii. It's a great place to hike. You can camp anywhere. It's beautiful, you know, warm. You don't have to worry about much. And they were detained because they only had a hotel for 2 nights, and I just want to know where they're gonna stay. And they're like, we're hiking, man. And they basically strip searched them, threw them in detention, and are deporting them. Treatment like this of foreign tourists might make it so that the World Cup, which is happening next year, and the 2028 Olympics, which are happening, of course, 2028, might get recalled from us. So, if I were a nation that recently had the Summer Olympics, Japan, France, England, you know, I would look at possibly, you know, nudging and winking and getting the IOC to yank the Olympics from the United States and give it to one of these nations that have the infrastructure in place to handle the tickets and the tourism and everything else. Because you know that international competitors, fans, are going to face a giant uphill battle, possibly international embarrassment, when they come to this country to perform or to watch or to just be normal tourists doing their thing. We're just so stupid. It's collectively just a bunch of fucking morons, man. It's so dumb. So dumb. Anywho, anything else I need to add today, monkey? Well, you're giving me a stare right there, aren't you? Oh. You want the blanket on you? Is that what you want? Is that why you're staring at me? You're sitting on the blanket, so it's a little hard to, there you go. All right, that's what you want. Okay. Yeah, so let's do a little hoogity boogity and a little sugar do, right? Bow, bow. Turn it off, ding dong. Turn it off. Okay. Super chat. Oh, Julius, folks, this is running late. Hegseth added him to new snow chat. It's true. I was like, quit telling me where the F-18s are. So, yeah. To the chat. Lone Wolf first. Nice. Ferris F was second, but the message was retracted. Snert alert, 16B gone. 16B is sort of gone. They dismissed in part and didn't dismiss in part. It seems to me when I read it, it looks like they dismissed the ability to claw back money, but they did admit that Ryan Cohen should have known through public records that they're doing share buybacks, and that may have resulted in him having more than 10% of the company. Here's a weird little beef I have with that whole thing. Is the plan man, right, is suing the board, or was suing the board, that may all be dismissed or settled or whatever, was suing the board for illegally doing share buybacks that violated the fiduciary responsibility they had to the company, right? So he's saying, hey, those share buybacks you did were illegal, they were wrong, and you owe me billions of dollars as a result. But at the same time, he was suing Ryan Cohen, claiming he should have known those share buybacks were going to happen. So basically, the share buyback shouldn't have happened, but you should have known they were happening. That's the two sides of this. And that seems to me like cognitive dissonance on the part of the plan man. Ultimately, I think the 16B will be fully dismissed right now. Because, namely, if the plan man can't claw back any money, there's no point in going forward. And it appears with this ruling that he can't claw back money. So any lawsuit that goes forward is just going to be like a "Hump, I told you so" type thing. And there'll be no money exchanging hands at all. So That's where I'm leaning on it. Murphy Turf Studios. Hey, Houston, since you have never done cocaine, why would you carry $3,000 in cash on you? The only time in my life I have carried that much money in cash on me is when I've been on my way to buy a shit box. That's it. I have a wad of cash in my hand because I'm going to go meet a sketchy dude in the parking lot of a Target and possibly buy shit box off of him. That is the reason I have that. So yeah. So she's obviously a big enthusiast. She wants to buy a 1991 Ford Taurus SHO that has 135,000 miles on it. The paint job's got some faded spots on it, but original wheels. It's got the awesome nose cone that they had in the RoboCop movies, and leather interior, 5-speed, hauls ass with that Yamaha 3.0 super high output engine. That's why she was doing it. She knows that if she just clears the tune up airbox that some mouse got into and made a home, puts a new airbox in there, puts on a new MAF sensor, redoes the spark plugs and coils, that baby's gonna be humming. And so she was on her way to get that 1991 Ford Taurus SHO because it was the best sleeper of the 1990s. And no one realizes just what a quick little bunny that car is. They see grandma's car, and it's like, whoo, gone. So yeah, that's what she was doing. It wasn't for cocaine. She wasn't there to do drugs. She was there to get a pearl white 1991 Ford Taurus SHO. Bill Coyne, I'm going to sleep. Stop watching the news. Shit gets old. Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to stop watching the news. Yeah, I mean, it's relentless onslaught. Reverend also Houston for Pope 2025. I will gladly be your Pope, even though I know nothing about Catholic ritual, dogma, or anything else, Latin for that matter. I'll be a pretty cool Pope, that's for sure. But yeah, throw my hat in the ring. Why not? Lone Wolf, what's keeping Tesla up? It should be dropping like a rock. Oh, earnings is tomorrow. Let's see what type of announcement old Butterfingers throws in there to make everyone think that Tesla stock's going to be all right. I'm probably going to flip whatever I have into puts for Tesla tomorrow at close and then sell them first thing in the morning on Wednesday. I think that's the strategy I'm looking for at the moment. We'll see how it goes. They might do some sort of announcement and juke the stats or sell $6 billion in Bitcoin or something to make everything look like it's all right. But car sales are way down. Bachelor, not first, not last. There you go. Fred Jones claims he's second. Cannot be. Fred Jones puts on the spy. Well, it depends on if old Trumpy Dumpy makes some sort of announcement. He had a meeting with like Walmart and other retailers today about possibly carving out exceptions to the tariff rules. Because Walmart's over 70% of Walmart's goods come from China. And not only that, historically, do I have United States Walmart in here? Or did I may have given that to my dad. I don't think I have it anymore. I think I gave it away. There's a great book written about 20 years ago called The United States of Walmart. I'm sure there's updated versions of it today. But basically, in it, part of it, they explain how Walmart forces American companies to manufacture overseas. So let's say you make, backpacks. Your company that makes backpacks, you got a factory in Portland, Oregon. You make backpacks, you make thousands of them, and you sell them. And all of a sudden Walmart comes along. Walmart's like, hey, I'd like to order like 750,000 backpacks. And the backpack comes like, holy shit, are you serious? Like we sell like 50,000 a year. You want to order 750,000? Hell yeah, brother, let's do this. So you do this big hiring thing, and then the factory gets bigger and blah, blah, blah. And you start selling these backpacks to Walmart at, $15 a pop wholesale, right? And when Walmart turns around and sells them for $30. Well, after about a year or two, Walmart says, hey, man, we really like your backpacks. We just want them for $12 a unit. And the factory's like, whoa, we can't actually make them for $12 a unit because we've got 2,000 employees here in Portland, and labor costs, insurance, pensions, etc. $15 is, we're giving you the cheapest we can do because we make them for like $14.95. So we're making 5 cents off every one of these things, whatever it might be. And Walmart says, you give them to us for $12 or we won't order your backpacks anymore. And they're like, oh, that means we're going to lay off like 1,500 workers. Is there anything we can do? And Walmart's like, yeah, open a factory in China. You'll make them cheaper. We'll get them for $12 a unit. Everything will be happy. The company's like, So one of two things happens. One of two things. One of two. Either the company acquiesces and they fire everyone, they move their factory to China, they make the stuff for slightly cheaper. Walmart does not change the sale price. They're buying these things for $12 a unit. Now they're still selling them for $30. So they're making an extra $3 profit off every single one of those backpacks. Or number two, the company agrees to sell them for $12 a unit with some sort of weird promise in the future that perhaps we'll revisit this and look at it, blah, blah, blah. And then Walmart doesn't. And the company goes under. They've got a beautiful brand name, right? Everyone knows it. What Walmart does is they buy the brand name out of bankruptcy. They contract with a factory in China. They make the backpacks over there anyway. They did this with a lot of companies. And like Home Depot did this with a lot of companies too, with especially like power tool companies. They would, we sell 80% of all of the things you make, so you have to give us a screaming deal. And the company would go out of business. They'd buy the name, contract some factory in China to make everything. So they've been doing this for decades, right? And now all of a sudden Walmart's like, fuck. Now things are going to be twice as expensive as they were if we just left those factories in America. So they're going to Trump. And they're trying to figure out some sort of way that they can perhaps get an exemption, like pretty please, we will give you millions of dollars, and Trump will probably be like, yeah, okay, and then allow everybody to have some sort of carve out exception for when Walmart imports things, they don't pay a tariff, but everyone else will, something like that. That means Jeff Bezos will have to go and like bend the knee and kiss the ring and beg that the Amazon gets a carve out and so on and so forth. That's where we are. So if he announces some sort of carve out this evening, expect the SPY to go zoom tomorrow. Some whale bought a boatload of SPY calls right before close and is already up like millions of dollars. So follow those whales, man. Off the Grid Hero super chats. Couldn't expert hydrocarbon with West sue everybody on those documents? I think that's the general idea, is that they're going to do that. For the most part, getting the information has been the tough part first. They've been doing Section 200 rules. Like, we're not suing, we're just demanding the information in case we want to sue from brokers and others. So yeah, they can sue. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but it better be something that the folks at Expert Hydrocarbons can afford so they can get a lot more in return. But yeah. Timeline of Expert Hydrocarbons started to sue today. Well, you'd file suit. It would be 2 weeks or 20 days, depending on where you're filing, to get a response. Then you go into discovery. That discovery would probably last 6 months to a year before setting up a trial date. My guess is something like that would never go to trial. It would just get settled within the next 5-6 months. So then you're looking at, October for settlement announcement, because they wouldn't want this to go to trial. They wouldn't want any information being made public. So it would go to some sort of settlement, be confidential settlement, everything be closed, and that would be that. So 6-ish months, probably. Yeah. So, Frag Out Design Studios randomly found this channel, also from Houston. Good explanation. Check this out. Well, I'm not from Houston. My name is Houston. but welcome. Welcome aboard. We did the Mr. E Machines. Why do you think they can't or don't want us to get below $26 and keep it there? It's interesting that it's like 2720, 2640, 2705, 2680, 2721, 2652. Like, it is really, past week has just been doing this, bouncing back and forth across that 27 line for GameStop. I don't know. I think the problem is that I think Richard really did a good job explaining this the other day. He pointed out, he's like, look how much cash they have on hand and how many fake shares are out there. And so he's like, hey, you know, there's 400. Let's bring out the calculator if we're going to do this, right? I need to turn off. Which one do you turn off to get that? Oh yeah, for some reason that's attached to Paint now. Okay, there's the calculator. All right, so his hypothesis, and I think it's pretty right on, is there's 430 million shares, 425 million shares. Why do you always do that, man? 4, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And there's $6 billion in cash. So if we take 6 billion, 6.5 billion, sorry, 6.5 billion, right? Or is it 6 billion? We'll call it 6 billion just to give us our number there. So we got 6 billion in cash divided by 430 million shares, right? That comes out to $13-14 a share. Okay? So if the company today decided to just jettison all their cash assets, all of us would make almost $14 a share, $13.9 a share. Okay, if the DTC looks in their logs and they know exactly how many shorts actually exist on GameStop, that means if GameStop were to liquidate everything and just send cash out to their shareholders, it'd be at $14 a share. They're like, okay, that's less than the 26, 27 or so that price we keep seeing. But you have to remember, if there's 500 million, 400 million shorts, that means those shorts will be on the hook for that $13.9 a share distribution out to everybody. So just basically take that number and essentially multiply it by like 95% or 195%, and you might get to where the share price sort of has to be for the DTCC to feel like the liability isn't too bad. Right? That's if we're around 100% short, which we might be right now. Personally, I think we're probably a lot higher than that. But if we're at a DTC acknowledged 100% short, then yeah, we're looking at about $27, $26 a share of liability for every single one of those shorts that exist. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think Newton was correct. Richard Newton was correct on when he was hypothesizing that. So yeah, that's where we are. That's a new floor as a result of raising that 1.5 billion with the non-convertibles or with the convertible bonds. And here we sit, waiting for something to happen. Don Shadem, super chat. So Palantir makes the software that Doge is using to scan universities like my own for DEI, short Palantir puts. Yeah, it's also owned by Peter Thiel, who is evil, an absolute awful human being. If Houston becomes president, Peter Thiel gets deported, and you strip him of everything he has, along with Elon Musk. Just take it all, send them adrift on an ice floe, let them figure it out from there. Because if you're giving the executive unlimited powers, that's the petty thing I'm going to do. Yeah. Palantir is... I don't think anything they've ever created has been for the benefit of society. That's the feeling I get. I think they're pretty shitty. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, Don. Andrew Stewart, Houston. What's the better investment strategy, spy puts or cat food, diesel, and ammunition? Ooh. Spy puts first, then the cat food, diesel fuel, and ammunition. Or spy puts first, and then just get the fuck out of Dodge. So you have to worry about the cat food, the ammunition, and the diesel. So, yeah, that's like a chicken and egg type thing. I start with the egg. Danny Batchelor, no labs go boom after hours, then squashed. Yeah, it shot up, it doubled, and then went right back down to where it was. I wonder what was detonating for that to happen, right? It's very weird that No Labs was doing that. Everyone's like, oh, look at No Labs. And it was like, went from 30 cents to like 60 something cents. And then right back down again. Just done. What was happening? Was someone buying Monkey? What was going on? You are laying there and not letting me know what's going on, dog. You read all the same things I do, dog. Can I read happy birthday, Houston? Pope sends deputy to lecture VP JD Vance on compassion. Deputy, listen here, you little shit. Okay. So Trump is blaming Powell for economic collapse if he doesn't lower rates or clean up my mess, or I'll blame you. Unbelievable times. Powell could lower rates to 0 right now, and the 10-year treasuries will still sit at almost 5%. Why? Because no one wants our bonds. Normally when the economy is collapsing, people flee the market, go to U.S. treasuries, shore up the dollar against other currencies, and they're not doing it. Why? Because Trump pissed everyone off. France hates us, Germany hates us, England hates us, Italy hates us, Japan hates us, Taiwan hates us, Canada hates us, Mexico hates us. They all hate us. These are all the people that buy our bonds. Not only that, but dipshit McGee wants to privatize Social Security. Do you know who the largest single holder of U.S. treasuries is in the entire planet? The Social Security Administration. Here's what happens. The tax dollars come out of your pocket for Social Security and Medicare, right? Comes out of your pocket, goes to Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration then takes that money and buys U.S. treasuries with it. It earns its 3% a year, 4% a year, whatever it happens to be, and sits on that. And as they get the interest on this, they pay for the medical care and the living expenses of retirees. That's what happens. So what Trump wants to do is he wants to take these $6 trillion or so of treasuries that Social Security has, sell all those treasuries to who? Fuck if I know, right? Sell all those treasuries and then take that money and put it in the stock market. We're going to get better returns, right? Except right now, the stock market is absolutely losing its mind and falling. It's free falling, baby. So Trump is going to get crap returns on those treasuries because there are going to be no buyers for them. It's going to cause the treasury prices to just sink to all-time lows. And we're going to have a worse bond crisis than we had even the last couple of years, which are the worst they had been since essentially this American Revolution. There'll be no buyers for $6 trillion plus in bonds. The interest rates are probably going to go to 10 or 20%, right? Which means it's going to do the exact opposite of what Trump wants to have happen, which is lower interest rates so that he can not have to pay huge interest rates on his crappy real estate investments. And he can borrow even more money from people, right? And then we're going to take all that money and we're going to dump it into a stock market that's in free fall. Cool. And then we're going to have massive inflation because of all that money going to the stock market, which is going to cause prices of everything to skyrocket because the U.S. dollar is getting even weaker because of the fact we don't have anyone who wants to buy our bonds. And then what? Then the Japanese carry trades get vaporized. Another $20 trillion gets pulled out of our economy. It goes back to Japan. I wish somebody could make a simple enough crayon drawing for this man to explain just how terrible his ideas are and how much he is going to fucking blow everything up. Like, we had a sweet deal here in the US. We could print little pieces of paper, basically at will. Send those pieces of paper around the world and people go, oh my God, it's incredible. These are beautiful. These are what I want more, right? And then we get finished goods out of them. And we didn't do anything for it. We just sent pieces of paper around the world. Not only that, it allows us to do things like soft diplomacy. We can have programs like USAID. Take these little pieces of paper to trouble spots and distribute the little pieces of paper around. The people in those trouble spots could buy food and get houses, and they would go, oh my goodness, America is wonderful. And instead we went, fuck you, bitch. Give us that money back. You're not getting any of those vaccines. No food for you, you little clown. And now they hate us. And it's allowing other nations like China and Russia to move in and get the soft diplomacy upper hand on us. And it results in less circulation of our currency around the globe, which is going to get replaced by other currencies, and soon we will be replaced. Because what do you do with US dollars? You buy products from the United States with those US dollars. That's why you distribute them around the world. that is the entire point of economic hitmen. I really do need to get John on here so that we can talk about Confessions of Economic Hitman in the modern age. I see him every once in a while. I'm like, hey, let's do a show. He's like, yeah, totally. I'm going to be traveling somewhere. Come contact me afterwards. And then I forget to contact him, and that's my problem. But yeah, that's the entire point of that economic model, and we're destroying it so that we can isolate ourselves from the rest of the world and become mud people. Who was like, yes, I'm going to become a mud person. I want to have, one car company I can choose from, and one computer company I can choose from, and one phone company I can choose from, right? Because the rest of the world won't do business here. We can't import anything because we basically have embargoes and sanctions against us. We'll become like North Korea. We'll become like Russia. We'll become like Cuba. We'll become like Venezuela. We'll become like Iran. Are those countries we want to emulate? No. We want to be a country that has the entire world going, oh, you guys are fucking awesome. I love you. I love America. I want to buy a Buick. That's what you want. But right now you have them going, oh, you know what? You guys are dicks. Fuck you. I'm not going to even visit. So there. And then all of our tourist towns vaporize and all of our restaurants vaporize. And then the velocity of US dollars slows down. So the US dollars become worthless. And there you have it. So there we are. Kelly, be glad that you are in Canada. Fabrizio's plopping. And sup, you dirty daggers. Ted Bass. Cohen in the news again. $47.2 million lawsuit from the old BBY board. That's the same. That's the 16B lawsuit. So I don't know if there's actually going to be any cash clawback in that lawsuit anymore. But the article that was in Yahoo, it seemed like the person did not read the court documents very well. So, yeah. Zio my God, do with nub. Article was AI FUD, doesn't have to pay anything. Yeah, that's what I feel, is that somebody went AI and then AI just spit something out. They didn't bother proofreading it and just posted it on Yahoo News. And 9, another hype day passes. Super Stonk is unreadable, just filled with spammers and insane posts. It's been unreadable for a long time. I mean, they banned me for pointing out that Planet Sparkles is a shill douchebag. No, you can't post here anymore. So, they're dead once that happens. Like, the week that they banned me, there was like 6 clips of videos of me posted to Super Stonk. I can't even comment there, but they're going to post me talking all the time. Like, it's all right. My little Reddit channel gets more eyeballs anyway at this point. Tomzok. No longer Tomzok E, just Tomzok. Will these lawsuits ever end against Cohen, or will it be a never-ending story? It's getting really boring. They'll end. Because if they can't get any money out of them, then there's no point in continuing the suit. So, and 9, so JD kiss of death on the Pope. Yep. Striker 747. What would happen if China paid off all their debt to the U.S.? The U.S. would suddenly have trillions of dollars in bank accounts in banks across the country, because we've spent trillions of dollars buying Chinese municipal bonds and real estate bonds, etc., that we're never going to see a payoff from. So that would probably solve the banking crisis we're heading towards almost immediately. Because basically all the banks right now, they acknowledge that they have hundreds of billions each probably tied up in various Chinese bonds that will never get paid back. But they're listing them as unrealized losses, basically saying like, there's still a hope they might pay us back, but it's not going to happen. And there's certain banks that have very specific liabilities going on. Hey, fat guy. Oh, you are the dusty cat. What did you roll in sawdust? Let's just take care of that, shall we? It's just, all right, all that's doing is just spreading it to one part of your butt. Okay, well, we're just going to collect all the gross fur down here, dirt, whatever. What have you been doing? Looks like, my God, you're the dirtiest cat I've ever seen. How did you do this? Looks like you've got like dirt dandruff going on. Well, let's just put that all over my shirt. There, good for me. All right. Yay. Cat karaoke. So yeah, what was I talking about before I got distracted by this cat? Oh yeah, try and pay off their debts. Yeah, it would save all the banks, which is why China's probably not going to do it. Okay, it was just, oh, it's so dirty. Your butt is so dirty. Ow. What did you do? Probably spread this crap all over the house too, so I gotta vacuum again. All right. Oh crap, there's the reset of the chat. Give me un momento, por favor, as I scroll back up and try to find where we were. Okay, there was that one. Okay, that was Tom's odd question. The kiss of death. Tom Zock says, I would prefer JD gave Trump a long kiss. And 9 more battle plan leaks. Yep. Specifics about F-15 F-18s acting over the Red Sea. Brendan Wells, sup BBY, sup No Labs. No Labs had that weird pop. No explanation. And then went right back down again. BBBY still seems to be in some sort of wait stage as it waits for who knows what to happen. Dude, you are drooling. Why do cats drool? Okay. Kelly Reed. So Ryan has to deal with the BBY lawsuit. Think Gmail is going to announce something until it's popped up? No, I don't think they were going to announce anything. There is a current theory that in order to preserve the Knolls, they've got to act within 2 years of saying they want to preserve the Knolls, which comes out to, was like July 23rd or June 23rd. One of those. I think maybe June 23rd. So we basically have 2 months for them to do something and emerge from bankruptcy in order to maintain those Knolls. So I guess we just wait. We just continue to wait like we've been doing. Right? Right, Kat? I mean, you got nothing going on. You can go sit in a dirt pile and make yourself real happy. I, on the other hand, I'm not happy sitting in a dirt pile. I'd rather sit in a pile of supermodels. Michael O'Hara, Houston, JD Vance is the devil. He killed the Pope. Yeah. Sheep ducking cow you. What a Monday. Hey, Houston. Who pieces out, gets let go first, Hegseth or Powell? Hegseth. Yeah. As much as Trump wants to get rid of J. Powell doesn't have to go anywhere if he doesn't want to. He can be like, I don't feel like it. Hegseth has got to check out. And Hegseth, Trump can forgive him once, but trying to forgive him twice on this is him basically admitting that he likes shitty people around him, and I think his ego can't take that. Whereas if he fires Jay Powell, he will not find anybody competent to take his spot. He'll find basically the Pete Hegseth equivalent of an economist to take over for Jay Powell because no one else will want the job. So my guess is if he does fire Jay Powell, against the warnings of basically everyone on planet Earth, it's going to take a while to find a sucker to take over that role. And then that sucker's got to go through Congress, go through the Senate hearings, and basically lie through their teeth to make the dumbest senators go, yeah, I think he's going to be responsible. And then, again, we'll have like Charlie Kirk or someone be the head of the Fed all of a sudden on his like 1 semester of community college. And that's the type of person who's going to take the role from him because they know that they're going to get blamed. Anyone competent knows is going to get blamed for Trump's shitty dealings, and then they're going to stress themselves out. Oh, so much fur in my ear. They're going to get super stressed out trying to stave off the really bad stuff that happens. But because we are no longer recognizing modern monetary policy in this country, the Fed really can't do anything to keep this from getting worse. So the Fed cuts rates. That just makes borrowing less appealing to anybody, right? Or I guess lending less appealing to anybody. And if you're going to lend, you're gonna get shitty returns. So people are gonna be like, I don't want to buy those bonds. I'm getting shitty returns, which then causes the rates to go up anyway, which is what we're experiencing right now. So you go to the Fed and be like, okay, we're going to shore up the banks. We're going to print a whole bunch of money. Well, you're printing a whole bunch of money into a system that doesn't want your money. Like, you can print money in 2008 all day long because people still want US dollars, right? They'll gobble those things up. You print in today's environment where people do not want US dollars and can't use them for anything because the tariffs are so high everywhere. People are just like, fuck it, I don't want your money. Go away. I'll take a euro or a yen or a Swiss franc or whatever. So there's not really anything that the Fed will be able to do to fix the damage caused by Trump. The only way you fix the damage caused by Trump is for Trump not to be there to cause any more damage. That would be the way you ensure the rest of the country goes, good, I can trust you now, right? Like, you just have to. You ever read of Mice and Men, or even like see one of the movies made about it, where Lenny, what's the girl's name that takes Lenny to like meet the kittens, and he's like petting the kitten so hard he accidentally killed it, and then the lady gets scared, and so he's like, oh, calm down, quiet down. He accidentally kills her, and what's his boss to come in and like shoot Lenny and just be like, we're done with it. I'm so sorry. Like, you were my buddy, but we can't do this anymore. That's kind of where America has to be. We got fucking Lenny strangling kittens and innocent women left and right all over the White House. And the rest of the world's like, whoa, dude, I want nothing to do with you guys if you're this Lenny guy go around killing people. So, yeah, you got to take Trump out of office. He can't be in office anymore. And whoever's in there goes, all right, this trade war bullshit is bullshit. Let's just end it here. Go back to the way things were. Keep honoring our trade deals with Mexico and Canada. Apologize 1,000 million billion times. Go on an apology tour to 100 different nations, shaking hands and apologizing and being like, we'll never let that happen again. I promise, right? And then you have to like hold up that promise. Because if you fail for some reason and a Trump equivalent gets back into office within a couple of years, we're done. We are absolutely 100% done as a nation. Done. Like, we will balkanize, split up into 20 different nations that all hate each other. We will have infighting and civil war. Nuclear bombs will exchange, and it will be the end of everything. That's kind of the future we're looking for if we don't this in the bud, right? So, this is literally the action of women. Like, people are like, oh, the president doesn't have that much impact on the economy. Look around you. Planes are falling out of the sky. We can't track hurricanes anymore. Schools are going to go unfunded. We don't have national parks anymore. Tourist dollars aren't coming in. We can't afford eggs. Like, and you know what can happen on top of all this? All this garbage? Fucking bird flu. A virus that kills 50% of all human beings it comes in contact with. If it gets to the point where it's doing human-to-human transmissions, it will make COVID look like child's play. Not only will it make COVID look like child's play, we have an anti-vax moron in charge at NIH. And they have cut the funding to vaccine research. Moderna has bird flu vaccines ready to go, but the funding to pay for them to be developed further has been cut. Doge and Kennedy Jr. cut that program. So we will not be ready for if and when it hits, and it's probably only just a matter of time at this point. 60 Minutes last night really tried to hammer it home that this thing is coming. And my friend Angie Rasmussen, she was one of the featured interviewees of that thing. She's a epidemiologist at University of Saskatchewan. She's a Seattle lady. Used to be at Columbia University. She is probably the most preeminent epidemiologist on Earth today. She is basically saying like interviewer was like, you're kind of scaring me. She's like, yeah, you should be. This is killing 50% of the people it affects, and we have unmitigated rampant infection. There's a lot of things I can't forgive Biden for, and one of those things is not reinstituting the USAID program of epidemiologists stationed all over the earth who kept novel virus outbreaks in check. So I know we talked about this before, but October 2019, at the end of October 2019, Trump fired all those epidemiologists. What those epidemiologists were doing was, through NSA and CIA chatter, they would get notified, like, hey, it sounds like there's a virus outbreak in this village. Go check it out. They put on little hazmat gears, they go test birds, and they go, oh, yeah, there's bird flu here. So they would kill all the birds in town. All of them. Every single one of them. And then they would quarantine the town, and then they would pay the farmers enough money so they could buy a new flock and not be out of money for having their flocks destroyed, right? That kept bird flu in check for over 20 years. So the only outbreaks we had were basically centered in Southeast Asia. The outbreaks here and there, but these epidemiologists were all over the place, working in Vietnam and in Cambodia and Thailand and Burma and China, and they were keeping this virus from spreading and getting into the wild populations. October 2019, Trump fires every last one of those dudes. Every single one. Boom. I'll bring up the article right here. One sec. Times. Here it is. I got on speed dial here. Boop. Boom. Scientists were hunting for the next Ebola. Now the U.S. has... Oh, what? One sec. It's making me log in. Yes. Sign in. I don't want to share. Just... No. Taking my article. There we go. All right. So here we go. Scientists were hunting for the next Ebola. Now the U.S. has cut off its funding. When's the date on this sucker? October 25th, 2019. What appeared... Let's see here. That's 23 days later. COVID. Where were these people working? They're working in places like China. So when they get word of a novel virus outbreak, they would squash it, and then you would never hear about it again. We fired these folks, 2019, to save $30 million to pay for Trump's tax cuts the first time around. It ended up costing us $21 trillion in lost GDP just from COVID alone becoming rampant across the globe, when in reality, this group of doctors could have stopped that from spreading before it became an epidemic or a pandemic. But on top of that, since these people were fired, bird flu spread into the wild population and has gotten everywhere. It's killed off huge portions of our pinniped populations. Those are like walruses and seals and sea lions, etc. Gave them all bird flu. It's spreading through cattle populations. It's spreading through cat populations. It's spreading through other mammals that we don't even know about yet. And it's killing them. And each time it infects a bird, a cow, a walrus, a cat, it mutates. And every single time it mutates, it gets one gain of function closer to becoming something that's going to wipe out our population. There were 5 gains of function that they were worried about with bird flu. So far, 4 of them have come true. The 5th one is basically the human-to-human transmission mutation. And that's what we're just waiting on. One of these dairy workers or even someone who works on a poultry farm, they're going to get infected. It's going to have that mutation in it. They're going to cough. It's going to go to their kids. Their kid's going to go to school. He's going to cough. It's going to hit the teacher, the principal, and all the students in class. They're going to go home. They're going to cough on their parents, and boom, it's fucking over. If somebody has a fatal or near fatal version of bird flu, they need to go on an ECMO machine, basically having their blood and everything else just transfused out of them at all times. Most major hospitals with like big trauma centers, they've got one of those machines. So essentially what we're going to have is just like with COVID, we're going to have hundreds or thousands of people filling up the hallways of hospitals on this like palliative care, essentially with nothing that the doctors and nurses can do. Meanwhile, 50% of the doctors and nurses will be dying as well, right? And then anyone else who has any other accidents, any other problems, they're going to die because there's not going to be care available to deal with it. We're going to have folks that need new hips and knee surgery and whatever, and they won't be able to get surgery because the hospitals are closed to those elective surgeries. We're going to have folks dying of, ER type conditions, car accidents, falling from ladders that will go untreated, and they're going to die from the fact that the hospitals are full. And it's just going to be a giant fucking mess. Because we wanted to save $30 million in 2019, so we have just a little bit of money to help take care of the $1 trillion deficit we blew into our federal budget to give billionaires tax cuts. And all those billionaires ever did was use it to do stock buybacks to increase their stock price. That's it. That's all they did. There's no trickle down from it. So yeah, that's where we are. We fucked up 2019, and we're going to have 2 pandemics as a result of it. And the second pandemic could end civilization as we know it. Anyway, buy bonds. So yeah. Yeah, you guys feeling happy? Feeling like you can conquer the world in the future? Just Miami says Krasnov. Yes. If you were a KGB asset, everything you would have done to this point would make sense. Anywho, Juice Miami, who wants free tomatoes that are rotting in the fields here? Yeah. So Homestead, Florida, said they are deputizing their law enforcement to go get rid of illegal immigrants. Right. Meanwhile, tomato fields in Homestead, Florida are rotting on the vines because there's no one to pick the tomatoes. This article came out last week talking about how farm communities in Florida are now ghost towns because all the ag workers just bailed on Florida. They're heading to blue states to go work agriculture, or just going into hiding in general. So yeah, we're doing a great job of destroying our economy, destroying our environment, and vaporizing our food security. Just like 3 wonderful things that, as a first world nation, you'd expect to have. But we currently have like more food insecure people of any developed nation on Earth at about 18 to 20 million. And I think that's going to get a lot larger if we keep having things like tomatoes rot in the fields, oranges rot in the fields, grapes rot in the fields, because there's no one to pick them. And we're killing off our bees. So, we're losing the main pollinator for most of the fruits and veggies that we require sustenance from. And we got bird flu killing off our poultry and cattle populations. So what's next? We got some sort of swine flu come in here and just kind of wrap it all up. Maybe get some sort of, parasite to kill all the fish in the ocean, and we'll be good to go. Right? Right, monkey? She's heard enough of this. She's like, ugh, I've heard 1,000 times before. Where are we next in this chat here? I'm still not to the start of the show. I've done enough ranting today. I haven't gotten to the start yet. Okay. Sid 54, if Powell goes, it's so over for the U.S. economy. World standing indefinitely marks death for the stock market. The insane asylum is now running the country. Drunken Department of Defense head, unsafe homeland head. Houston, most hits. Where do you park your money right away? U.S. bonds seem worthless. U.S. dollars crashing. Where do you go? Gold is not an option since it's oversold and not backed by real supply. Well, gold can be an option in that the price will squeeze when they have to actually deliver the gold. Probably the easiest thing to do, if you got a pile of cash on hand, is look for a nation that makes banking easy, right? So, the most common example is you look at the Caymans. For about $3,000, you can create an LLC in the Caymans. An attorney will create it for you, do the filing. Within a couple of days, you have your official documents forming that LLC. It takes another 7 to 14 days to get bank approval. to have a bank account attached to that LLC, and then you just take all your money and you just dump it into that Cayman bank account. While it's in that account, you could possibly swap it for another currency, for euros or yen or Canadian dollars or Swiss francs or whatever, and then from there, then you can fan out to anywhere in the world. You can pay for a passport from a nation like Aruba, Dutch Antilles, British Virgin Islands. If you got $5 million, you can do New Zealand. You got 250,000, you can do Portugal or Spain. I'm not sure how much it is for Canada now. When I was a kid, it was $250,000. That's why so many people from Hong Kong were coming into Canada, because as long as they had 250,000 in cash, they could get residency. And that's why like Vancouver is all Chinese people now. So yeah, there's ways. Probably getting your cash out of the country is the safest route. Just get out and put it into a different currency, because the US dollar, if this dude's still in power, is going to collapse and probably not recover. Yeah. So yeah, you look at Belize, look at Cyprus, look at Singapore. Places that were like, oh, we'll take your money, we don't care who you are. That's the type of banking institutions you want to look for. There's a lot of folks on YouTube that talk about how to like live internationally. So, there's one guy, I can't remember his name. He has residency in like Dutch Antilles, in Colombia, and a couple other nations. And he goes through all the legal rules. Like some nations require you to spend, at least 7 days a year. And if you spend more than 180, you're now responsible for paying taxes to that nation. So you figure out how to stay in different places so you don't have to pay taxes to anybody, because you're a rich asshole, and rich assholes want to avoid paying taxes. While also maintaining residency in these nations, so you can have the passports. And if you have enough passports, some nations like, oh, you can't enter this country without paying for a visa. Well, I've got a passport from this country. Oh, you can enter now without having to buy a visa. So you can navigate things like that, because it used to be the most powerful passport in the world was the American passport, and that's definitely not the case right now. The American passport has become weaker and weaker. So you probably want to aim for a Canadian passport, an EU passport, Australian or New Zealand passports. Getting the passports from like little island nations like Aruba and stuff, paying a couple $100,000. That's a good stopgap to establish residency somewhere outside the US. But the passports themselves aren't particularly powerful and get you like to be able to march into another country without having to worry about visa interviews and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm currently applying to jobs in Canadian community colleges, just sort of give myself a leg up. That perhaps by fall, I might have a job. I don't know, Okanagan College in BC teaching astronomy. So if I can get that, then hey, that'll be my first step. Or I get a payout from MOAS and I just go, right? But Monkey, you can be a Canuck. I mean, your ancestors are French Canadians. If you don't know this about Catahoula leopard dogs. So the French Acadians, they were in Nova Scotia, and the Brits were like, get the hell out! And they were forced to leave. They're basically packed onto ships and just sent off into the ocean. And they sailed all the way down around, ended up in Louisiana, in the Bayou of Louisiana. And that's where the French Creole come from. So in Catahoula Parish is where these creatures were created, right? So the French Acadians took their greyhounds, their sighthounds, and they bred them with these domesticated version of the red wolves the natives had and made the Catahoula leopard dog. So you are a French Canadian who is from the Bayou. That's what you are, right? That's why you're so cold right now and you want a blanket over you, because you have very thin fur and no fat. And missing a leg right now. And forever. But yeah. Jewish Mammy just throws in there, holy smoke, sitting popes also died in 1914 and 1939. When did John Paul die? Pope John Paul. 2005. So that was right before the financial crisis. So that's a couple years before. So, all right. When did Benny the Rat go? Sorry, Pope Benedict. The abdication. So Pope Benedict abdicated 2013. So that's post financial crisis. All right. Okay, well, there you go. All right. It's kind of crazy that Pope Benedict abdicated, and he was like, I can't do this anymore. And then they brought in another guy who only lasted 3 years longer than Pope Benedict did anyways. So I really wonder what direction the Vatican's going to go this time around, because they picked a Jesuit for the first time, and basically the first pope ever to live modestly. Like, he lived in like a teeny tiny little room with a twin bed and no frills, no pictures on the wall, no nothing, because he was Jesuit. He believed in like a oath of poverty to serve everybody. Are we going to go back to another like glitz and glam, lots of rings and blings type pope, or are they going to keep the Jesuit there? Because there were a lot of Catholics who were pissed off. This dude was like, I'm okay with gay people. Being mean to trans people is probably one of the worst things you could do. Like, you guys should all live within your means and help people. And the Catholics were like, well, fuck this guy, right? So I am curious to see who they will get. Yeah. But, oh, cute. It's time for me to get going here. I will see you guys tomorrow for a show. We will kick it off and chit-chat some more tomorrow. But right now, I got to get going. I want to thank for the new viewer we had who subscribed. Thank you. What was your name? I already forgot. Frag Out Design Studios. Welcome aboard. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. If I didn't get to your questions today, because I did lots of ranting and pontificating, we'll try to get them tomorrow. And until then, have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. The weather outside here is actually quite lovely, even though I said it was going to rain. And so I can maybe enjoy a little bit of it. But here we go. Hit the intro or the outro, and boom.